the bad Tommy world.
This channel is a creative space for us to grow as artists together. Yep, another YouTube channel ran by a neurodivergent millennial. Well, here's the face reveal. This is me. Sorry. I figured I'd do so many shorts, I might as well just do a long form video and see how that goes. So here we go. If I'm awkward, it's because I'm awkward. Draw with me. I think I'm gonna draw Yoru from Chainsaw Man. Why not? I may completely mess this up, but I never claimed to be a good artist. In fact, I have yet to deny that I'm cheeks. Honestly, drawing isn't the first time I've been bad at something. When I was growing up, I was infatuated with making music. It wasn't just infatuation, it was my literal identity. I mean, next to being the kid with ADHD, bad grades, and being known as Booger Boy because I was always sick. Don't hate the player, baby, I'm just allergic to bullshit. So while we draw, let me tell you how I got here. Drawing on YouTube, making Instagram Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts. This is why I quit chasing a career in music to write manga with a total stranger on the internet. Feel free to practice drawing with me, and thanks for hanging out. Between the ages of 9 and 15, I would carry around a large book of CDs in my backpack and a CD player everywhere I went. I would get scolded by family members for being zoned out and avoidant for wearing them all the time. My mom didn't seem to care though. She understood it was just my thing. Oh, in elementary school, I started this fake band called Cage. Cage was an acronym using the first letters of all of my friends' names. None of my friends really knew how to make music though, but we called ourselves a band anyway. Well, at least I called us a band, because I was in class writing lyrics to the tune of songs I loved. Yeah, I plagiarized all of my favorite bands, but you learn from reference, and some of them were pretty good. Others were just concerning. My teacher would usually throw them away or turn them into my mom. Later in the 5th grade, my aunt bought me an acoustic guitar. I was terrible. My guitar instructor told me I'd probably never get it. He didn't tell me that, he told my aunt that, and then she relayed the message to me. It's mainly because I didn't want to learn the fundamentals, I just wanted to learn how to play Blink-182 and Green Day and other shit that I heard on the radio. At the time it just felt like old people didn't get it, but looking back, I was the one who didn't get it. The fundamentals of learning any art is super important. The summer after 6th grade, I disregarded all of that. My mom grounded me because I had failed the school year. Every morning she would take the controllers to my Xbox and go to work. Since YouTube was just gaining popularity with my generation, there really wasn't anything to watch unless you recorded something on TV. Smosh was just popping off, and that was pretty much all I was familiar with. So, during that summer, I picked up my mom's bass guitar and I started learning how to play Welcome to the Black Parade. First by tabs, then by ear. She actually helped me learn because she played bass in a band when I was young. That's how her and my dad met. They were both musicians, and they both played bass. It was the first time I felt this creative urge to get something right or to just complete a task, like I had to do it. It was the first time I wanted to impress myself and I wanted to feel like I was up to par. That was so important to me. At that time, school didn't give me that feeling. Even to this day, school still feels like I'm trying to force myself into a shape that just doesn't fit me or who I am. I was too creative for that shit. And everything was just so fucking boring. That Christmas, my mom bought me an ice blue metallic Squire Bullet. I like to say this is the moment that music ruined my life. That's a joke, of course. It taught me patience. It taught me that practicing was the only way to get better at things. And this lesson is adjacent to learning how to draw too. I spent every single day that year learning how to play guitar. I went onto ultimateguitar.com and looked up guitar tabs. I learned by ear. Eventually I landed on power chords, and that changed my entire life. So, after about 8 months, I was able to write my own songs. These ones weren't plagiarized. Unfortunately, I was not a virtuoso. I was, in fact, a talentless emo troglodyte. Which is why in middle school, My friend David and I bonded over the band All Time Low. We started a low-budget band in his grandparents' living room. It was just me playing guitar, or trying to, him playing bass, and our friend Tekla. He claimed to know how to play drums, but he didn't have a drum set, so we used pots, pans, and a CD case as a snare drum. To be honest, for a bunch of kids, we sounded pretty good, especially since it was our first time collaborating with other people who wanted to create the same type of art that we loved. Eventually, I was just too grounded to make music anymore, and David moved on with his life and kind of just stopped playing bass. But me, I was at home on my grandma's karaoke player / cassette deck, learning how to take 2 songs from any band I liked that were in the same key from 2 different CDs and transfer the audio onto a cassette so I could make mashup songs. I was already pretty familiar with using a cassette deck because I would take a mini radio cassette player to practices to record whatever we did. And I'd also host my own radio show in my closet and listen back to whatever I recorded as I fell asleep. This is the kind of creativity that I was about growing up. Just personal innovation, nothing groundbreaking, but also nothing that wasn't very impressive for someone my age. Every day, every summer, I would practice guitar in my room. I would practice singing in my room until my brother was sick of it, until my mom was sick of it.
Cousins were sick of it, aunt was sick of it, uncle was sick of it, teachers were sick of it, neighbors were sick of it, friends were sick of it, but grandma was debatable.
And I would just do it because I loved it. No one had to hear it. I didn't care about that. I'd record myself on a voice recorder. It was literally a machine. It was also a USB drive. If I sang a wrong note, I would force myself to re-record the whole song in one take, over and over and over and over, until my voice was strained. My mom would say, "You're gonna ruin your voice." That's what drawing takes. Repetition. As artists, that's what we do. We push our limits. That's just our nature. So what you're doing right now and what you're working towards, you can't give up yet. You're doing yourself an injustice by not working towards the person you want to be, the artist you want to become. If you really, really, really want to accomplish that piece that you're working on, if you really want to learn how to make a perfect circle or draw your favorite character, don't cry about it. Cry when you learn. Cry when you're done. There's no point in being counterproductive. I don't mean to sound like Shia LaBeouf, but just f***ing do it. After high school, I went through a pretty big breakup and I kind of closed myself off from emotional connection. To my benefit, that would guide me into the right direction musically. I would join a band and then join another, and ultimately I would start a band that I would sing in for the next 2 years. Singing in a band was amazing. It was all I ever wanted to do since I was 9 years old. It had its quirks like free food, an adrenaline rush, overcoming social anxiety for the night, just to prove to people that I don't just lock myself in my bedroom, even though I did. Over the course of those 2 years, what felt like the last band I would ever be in, got toxic fast. I started my band in 2016. In 2017, we picked up a little regional traction. We'd play around 45 shows in a few months, a lot of them in our hometown. But that was pretty good. It felt like we were doing something right. Plus, we had some pretty cool music from the year before that we recorded with a friend of mine. So, in July of 2017, I sent it out to a pretty popular label owner who became very interested in signing us. We had a label deal on the table, just like that. It's all about connections. Most of the band was down for this next step in our career. This is what we've been working for, right? Me, ever since I was 9 years old. The rest of the guys, they must have had similar stories to mine if they were playing better than I was, to be honest. They were phenomenal. So we had that record contract in my email ready to sign, but one of our guys just was scared to take the leap of leaving home to tour in the time frame the label was asking of us. He was worried that he would have to quit his job at undisclosed superstore where he had just become a manager. Everyone in the band was like, "Dude, we're doing this to get out of undisclosed superstore. What are you thinking?" It became a huge debate for a while, but in November 2017, we all agreed to take the leap. Our jobs. We all worked at the same company. It was a f***ing mess. With tour in mind, we had a lot of shit to figure out, like, where are we gonna stay? Who do we know in the Midwest? And will our manager put us on big shows now? Please? Well, over the course of that month, someone in the band was pretty adamant that I wasn't man enough to go on tour and needed to harden up. We're an emo band, not fucking Black Flag in the 80s. With that being said, the group chat was buck-ass wild. Despite the toxicity, we decided to take the record offer. Should not have done that. But first, we wanted to record the most emotional EP that hasn't been exposed online! At the request of the label, of course. If you didn't already know this, unless your music has already gone viral, labels are less inclined to re-release music that didn't pull any ungodly amount of traction during the first release cycle. We were so excited to be signed, we didn't even ask the label if they'd be paying for the recording.
Lol.
We just funded it ourselves. I kept my head down and just kept pushing. This is what absolutely killed my love for being in a band. No, it wasn't just this one person who killed it. It was the idea that working in a creative environment wasn't enough to share commonality. Music has always been my identity, but by the end of those 2 years, my refuge was also my prison. And I realized working with other people eventually would just lead to the same conflict. So on New Year's Day of 2018, I quit my band. Was the dream dead? Actually, no. It was just getting started. A few years before I watched everything I worked toward blow up in my face, I began to get into musical production. I had more experienced producers tell me I had a natural ear for it, so I took advantage of that skill and started making music in private. Just things for myself. I locked myself in my bedroom for hours on end, just ignoring texts, phone calls, staying up all hours of the night until I perfected it. And eventually it paid off. In 2015, I spent most of the year recording demos for my band. It was so weird, back at square one and learning a new instrument. All of that practice built my confidence to ask someone I vaguely knew in high school if they wanted to make music together. It was my first time being a paid producer, and honestly, I didn't think she'd actually say yes. Wait, hold on. I might have accidentally drawn Alyssa Liu. You guys tell me what you think. Well, either way, I think it looks great. I mean, for, just something that I was drawing with reference, I feel like it looks pretty good. I don't know. Let me know what you guys drew. I'm actually very excited to hear. Okay, well, back to it. Surprisingly, she said yes. Her name is Harley. She has the most beautiful voice I have ever heard in my life. She had a similar story to mine, also met with great disappointment. So after I quit my band, I DM'd my manager and he relieved me of my contract. No more label talk, no more band obligations. I was finally free from the stress. So Harley and I teamed up and we wrote some songs. We were a couple of chronically creative kids perfectly in sync. If we had any creative disagreements, we always chose to hear one another out, even if we didn't like the outcome. Here's some quick snippets.
Pastor, make it slap. Could ride around. Okay, jump forward to this boy who texts like every week he misses me.
After meeting an investor who decided to dump a shitload of money into our musical endeavors, I had the idea to throw a party, hire a bunch of popular artists from our area, and make Harley the headliner. We had the money to do it now, so why not? With the family and team we had, my brother, our friend Steph, Harley and I, we actually did it. It was the first time I'd ever seen a line so long for a musical project I was involved in. After this, Harley was invited to perform at a ton of different events. I even DJ'd her set at a block party. Literally all I did was press play and pretend I was doing something. Sooner than later, she made connections and got our songs on local radio. In 2020, another song we had just recorded, called All the Same, gained slight traction on TikTok. I was an audio engineer and working at a pizza place at the same time when I heard that it got over 200,000 spins between Apple Music and Spotify. It was the first time I'd ever seen a number that big for an instrumental I made in my bedroom. In that same exact bedroom where I used to record myself playing guitar and straining my voice into a cheap USB voice recorder. A lifetime's worth of effort felt like it was finally being heard. This time, I wanted people to listen. It felt validating that everything that I had been through up until that point was for something. The difference between what I was doing now and when I was in a band was I was making music that I felt other people wanted to hear. I would copy the style or the aggressiveness of one band, but I was leaving myself out of it. Ironically, making the music Harley and I were making, I didn't feel the need to impress anyone. I just wanted to impress myself, and my creativity flourished. As things got more exciting for Harley and I began taking in more clients as a producer and audio engineer. Pretty much, I would work through 4 to 6 hour recording sessions praying to God that I'm working with an artist who can take criticism. A ton of the artists I met were super cool, but occasionally I'd run into the guy who was too f***ing cool for school with a Dropbox link full of trash-ass songs. Like, I would literally sit there half the session writing someone else's music for them. Then, I'd watch them congratulate themselves for being such a fucking genius for choosing a beat made by someone else. One time this guy sent me a beat, and I was like, damn, this is really hard. This is really well constructed. And this dude goes, thanks. But I knew he was gonna ruin the song. And now he's like taking credit for the beat. Like, bro, I just literally saw you steal the beat. You stole it. That's all you did. That's your only contribution to the creative process. I'd be damned if I gave someone credit for having a decent beat selection. That's like thanking someone for knowing the difference between what tastes like shit and what tastes like ice cream. Mentally, it was a grind. So this is what made me fall out of love with musical production as a career choice. Once art becomes work, it's all over. One time, I spent 12 hours mixing someone's song, just out of the graces of my nature, and they said,
Dan, I can't wait to hear it when it's done.
but it is done.
Oh, yeah, send it to me so I can actually do some edits.
There was also the guy that said,
I'm not paying you more than $75 to write a song. You haven't worked with anyone famous.
clearly I did not know that I needed to work with Kanye f***ing West to get less than fair pay from someone with no more than 200 followers on Instagram. There was also this one guy who was like,
Yo, can I use this beat, please?
and I was like, nah. And he was like,
Oh, okay.
and literally not even a week later, I see that this guy posted a song using the beat that I made without consent. And now his ass is canceled for sending unsolicited dick pics, so GG, bucko. Check this out. Alright. I present to you Alyssa Liu, the War Devil. I did not mean to make that hand look like a giant gripper. That thing looks like it's a big burly man pressing Yoru's chin. But, Alyssa Liu's chin. Sorry, Alyssa Liu. It's hard to be an artist who wants to make the most of everything you create. Working with other artists is an amazing exercise for developing creativity in a team dynamic. But when other artists don't want to learn from the mistakes they make, there's only so much I can do to polish a mountain-sized turd. Especially younger artists. But I guess that's what growing up as a chronically creative artist ensues. Taking a lifetime of polishing my own turds until I can be upset when someone still prefers things done the wrong way. Just like I did. It would be hypocritical to say I don't understand. Looking back at it all, what made me fall in love with music wasn't the small chance that I'd be able to do it for money, streams, or the small-time popularity within social circles unknown to the rest of the world. It was allowing my creative mind to run free and explore. to not have to worry about polish, but to focus on expression. Adapting to a musical lifestyle where everything had to be formulaic really stole the soul from the art I was creating. In hindsight, making money from art didn't make compromising my artistic integrity any sweeter. Instead, I poisoned the pot by working with people I honestly didn't even want to work with. It turned my love for art into a grind, and ultimately, it just killed my creative drive for months on end. And at that point, I needed something new. Back to square one. In 2022, I began my journey as a creative writer. That's how I met L. Lotus, my creative partner and the artist behind the horror manga series we've been making. Because of how limited I am as an artist, in 2023, I decided I would draw once a day for an entire year so I can help Lotus with art. I want Bad Kami World to be a community where we can help each other grow as artists and learn together without a paywall in front of us. Masterclass, let's collab. I'm a broke millennial. I'll sell out. So with that said, if you or a friend are learning how to draw, come learn with me, and let's learn to be better together. I will catch you next time.